Welcome back to another episode of What's New Wednesday. It's July the 31st, and we're going to be talking about everything that's happened in the world of big time between July 24th and July 31st, final day of the month. We have one single Discord announcement to cover this week, but we will also be talking about big time token price as always. Big Time is also doing a daily mystery box giveaway, which is kind of neat. Maybe you could win yourself a mystery box. We are also going to discuss cracked hourglasses and how to potentially maximize the output in your metaverse. First things first, take a look at the token price. Last week, I said that I was feeling a bit bearish on Big Time token and that the token would have to break above its 4-hour 200 EMA in order for us to start moving up higher towards 15 cents. Last week, we were right here, and I said we'd already been thoroughly denied from the 200 EMA twice the week before, and we just had been denied last week again. Big Time has to break above its 200 EMA in order for us to really start moving higher, and it didn't seem like it was happening. I said that if we saw Bitcoin break above or get close to its all-time high, then we'd probably see Big Time break through its 200 EMA on the 4-hour. But since last week, we were here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin tried to break above its all-time high, break above 70,000, and it just got thoroughly denied this week and has continued to go down today significantly. I said that last week we were kind of like here at 50 EMA, and I said it could totally go down to its 200 EMA. It went down, bounced back up, and now it's retested the 200 EMA again. And because of that, because we've seen this price drop all the way down to the 200 EMA again on the 4-hour, you look at Big Time. Big Time has kind of followed suit, right? Last week, this is the first time Bitcoin hit its 200 EMA. We saw it go all the way down to 8.5 cents. And today, again, it's gone down to its 200 EMA. And right now, we're sitting at 9.5 cents. So what does that really mean? I mean, as I've been saying for weeks now, right? Bitcoin and the larger crypto market needs to go into all-time highs before we see Big Time follow suit and break above this 200 EMA and go towards the moon. That's pretty much it as far as the token price goes, right, guys? Will Bitcoin bounce off this 200 EMA again and get enough momentum to break above 70K? If so, then we could see Big Time break above its 200 EMA. But if Bitcoin doesn't bounce on the 200 EMA right here and breaks this bullish price action and starts moving back downwards, like it totally could, right? We could totally see it start moving back downwards towards 50K. Big Time is going to be kind of in the crapper for a while if Bitcoin doesn't rebound here off the 200 EMA. Big Time is probably going to be like crabbing along between this new all-time low printed at 7 cents and 9 cents for the foreseeable future if Bitcoin doesn't get its act together, if the larger crypto market doesn't get their act together. We almost tasted all-time highs this past week, and now we're here. So we could totally go all the way down to like the low 50,000s again. Who knows? How many times is Bitcoin gonna try and break above this 73,000 range before it just gets completely deflated? It could totally happen. Like if we zoom out and we look at the last bull run, we had basically 1, 2, and that was it. So what? Is this gonna be the same sort of thing? 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is like an amplified version of this single pump, but even still, we could totally be at the very end of what we see as a bull run right now, or bullish price action. It could totally happen. And if that happens, then, you know, no token is going to be safe from being completely deflated, right? So if that happens, then Big Time is going to be crabbing along probably between 4 and 10 cents for the foreseeable future, which is going to suck, especially if you were hoping to actually be able to take profits on your Big Time tokens, because probably not going to happen. But yeah, it all really depends on the larger crypto market, guys. Is Bitcoin going to go to the moon or not? If it goes to the moon, Big Time will follow suit, but it's not looking so good. It's pretty bearish right now, pretty bearish, and hopefully we can see some recovery. But like I said, Big Time last week, just this past week, got denied from the 200-day EMA 3 times. So not looking so good. People are really pushing the price down from 10 cents, 11 cents. That's kind of where the price we got to beat right now. Next, Big Time has put out one single announcement, and it's very simple. It doesn't have any text. It's just Big Time Showdown Tournament next week. And they put this out on July 26th. So if we look at the calendar, right? Oh, look, that's this week. This is next week, right? So I thought that it was really going to start on Monday because it said next week and that was last week. But I think what they meant was a week from now. So I expect to see the Showdown start this Friday on August the 2nd. Kind of begs the question, right? Are we going to have another leaderboard competition like the 4 we've had before, you know, with the typical format, last couple of months, and then the rewards come out, you know, over a period of 14, 16 weeks? Are we going to have that ever again? Or is Showdown Tournament going to take the place of the old leaderboard format? To be honest, I kind of think that the Showdown tournaments are going to take the place of the old leaderboard format. And here's why, right? The rewards for leaderboard 1 through 4 distributed like several million tokens to 5,000 players. And the last 3,000 players weren't really getting a whole lot, right? Like, and if you distribute that over a period of 14 weeks, you really think they're probably getting like maybe 500 to 1,000 big time tokens a week if they were lucky, which kind of doesn't really have a whole lot, like a very big impact. If you were in between 2,000 and 5,000 on the leaderboard, that was probably like over 1 million big time tokens being distributed. But to so many people, it's so diluted that it doesn't really make a huge impact on the players. It doesn't really turn those players into super users. It doesn't really get them excited about the game. Whereas if you took that money and you just delivered it in a lump sum to a smaller subset of people with a larger prize pool, then perhaps that would create like more of an impact, and the people who did win would be more of a super user. They'd be more willing to advocate for your game. They'd be kind of shouting at the rooftops about your game, right? And that's kind of where the two different formats, in my opinion, really are different. The Showdown tournament, you know, it distributes less prize money, but to a way smaller subset of people, and is quite impactful for those winners. It also has a shorter turnaround time. The Showdown tournament, it's like what, 5 or 6 weeks, as opposed to, I think the normal leaderboard was closer to 12 weeks. So different formats. And I do think that Big Time, if I was to guess, probably shifting their focus to a different way to sort of like incentivize people to participate in the economy. And the Showdown tournament seems like a more streamlined approach than the traditional leaderboard. I think it has its pros and cons, right? It's a lot more harder to compete in the Showdown tournament. You really have to do a lot to be able to place, in my opinion. As someone who did participate in the Showdown tournament, the last one, I, you know, placed 17th out of 40 or 50 finalists, and there's quite a few contestants, several thousand contestants. But yeah, it's a different model. I think it could be a better model, but we'll see. We'll be covering the progress for the Showdown tournament starting next week, and we'll see how the Showdown tournament goes and see how the community likes it. But that's kind of my thoughts. I do suspect that Big Time will be shifting their focus to Showdown tournament format over the leaderboard format, just because it creates more of an impact to the winners, and the winners become a lot more invested in the game than if you win like 3,000 tokens distributed over 15 weeks. That's about it on that topic. We'll see where this Showdown tournament goes and how it received and what the results are and all that. But I do expect that Big Time might be making a change on how they're monetizing, sort of rewarding players. All right, next, let's take a quick look at Big Time's Twitter. All right, so Big Time just put out this post. It says, daily mystery box giveaways. We are giving away mystery boxes daily to adventurers who engage and, most importantly, comment on Big Time posts all throughout August. So really straightforward, really easy to do. Like, retweet, and comment on the posts. They put up posts quite regularly. I think this is also a really great move for them, because we've kind of covered this before, that a lot of the sentiment you see in Big Time's comment section is quite negative, but like this one's particularly bad. Well, with the recent sentiment this post falls under, you got Big Time CEO, no, you can't take your money home. It's bad. We need to flood these posts with some good comments, guys, and I think this is a a great opportunity to do it. Incentivize it too, right? Just comment daily on Big Time's posts and say something positive about how you're excited to win a mystery box even, and really easy way to get a chance to win. Let's all win ourselves some mystery boxes this month and show up on the Big Time Twitter. Really easy thing to do. Enough about that. Next. So I was commenting with somebody on YouTube. Yeah, I think it was this one. We're talking about how to maximize cracked hourglasses. And I was thinking, like, that's not a bad thing to talk about. Once again, this Katie guy is really interested in Big Time, and I love their input on my comments. If you guys haven't checked out my YouTube and aren't looking at the videos on YouTube, do it. Throw down a comment. I'm always there replying. But yeah, so cracked hourglasses. It made me feel like maybe we should discuss how to max the output for cracked hourglasses. Is that even possible? What could we do? So let's start out by looking at the wiki. If you look at Big Time's wiki, they have a very small section on cracked hourglass spawning. Take a look at this graphic. Space is the only place for cracked hourglass drops. Rare space has a +5 chance for a cracked hourglass drop. An exalted space has a +25% chance for a cracked hourglass to drop. Percent drops in this infographic, it says here, are illustrative only and not final. So, you know, take that with a grain of sand or salt, as you might say. Anyways, so the wiki says multiple types of cracked hourglasses have different rarity tiers from common up to legendary. Each space that is connected and is part of the personal metaverse will have a chance to spawn a cracked hourglass depending on the rarity and size of the space. The size of the space determines the quantity spawned, while the rarity of the space determines the quality of the cracked hourglass. Because acquiring Big Time with cracked hourglasses, we don't really need to focus on that. That's not what we're talking about here. So now let's take a look at this Medium article they put out a few months ago in February, and it added some layers of complexity to the whole idea of getting cracked hourglass to spawn. First, we'll take a look at this because this kind of layers on top of what we just read. Cracked hourglass spawn intervals. This update is designed to further enhance the benefits of owning larger and or higher rarity spaces. We are now making cracked hourglasses spawn intervals dependent on both size and rarity of your space, moving away from the previous universal approach, which is kind of what we talked about there. Yes, different size and rarity can affect your percent chance of a cracked hourglass to spawn, but now they've added a layer of intervals. So say you have a small rare space, it'll have a chance to spawn an hourglass every 72 hours. But if you have a large rare space, it'll have a chance to spawn an hourglass every 60 hours. And it goes down by rarity and size that way. So if you have an exalted small, you have a chance to get an hourglass every 48 hours, which would be the same thing as having a legendary large space. Or, you know, an exalted large space, obviously every 36 hours it has a chance to drop. That's the best chance, fastest interval. So that's an interesting layer, and that could definitely affect things. But let's take a look at this other thing. They made it so that decorations can now boost your cracked hourglasses spawning. And this is where I think that we could do the most theory crafting about how to potentially maximize our cracked hourglass drops. So let's read through this quick. We'll get into some theory crafting. Placing decorations in your space will now increase the chance of spawning higher rarity cracked hourglasses as well as higher quantity of them. There is no cap on the number of decorations per space. However, the benefits will diminish as you add more decorations to the space. The law of diminishing returns there. There are quite a few axes to explore with decoration placement, so enjoy some new game mechanics to experiment. And this is really kind of just talk about the idea of cracked hourglasses. Cracked hourglasses were always intended to be an added bonus for an active space, not the primary reason for placing a lot of space, most of which is never active in your metaverse. This change aims to reinforce that idea while also providing extra utility to decoration. Okay, so theory crafting time. First of all, I know for a fact that cracked hourglasses was really not supposed to be like the main focus of the game. I know that cracked hourglasses was more or less like a marketing initiative. So all that aside, let's think about how can we maximize our cracked hourglass drops. I think that if we think about configuration of space and then also distribution of decorations, we can kind of come to a little bit of an equilibrium here. Throughout the economy, I've had multiple different configurations of space and decorations and all that stuff. But since this change, I've had two different configurations since they've added the decorations into the thing. My last configuration has definitely seems to be outputting more cracked cracked hourglasses than my first configuration. My first configuration was essentially just in a straight line. It has some benefits because it's really easy to traverse and you don't really need to worry about workshops and spaces not being able to fit, because sometimes if your spaces are too close together, you can't connect them to one of your exits. So that was the benefit of that. And I did like the way that that was working as far as just ease of use, but I wasn't really getting that many cracked hourglasses to drop. And my space is like, you know, small to medium size. It's large to some people might say it's large. Let's take a look at my space now. Now my current configuration is quite a bit more condensed with a lot more offshoots. And I am getting a lot more cracked hourglasses to spawn and higher rarity cracked hourglasses to spawn. So why is this? Because my decorations are essentially the same and they're configured pretty much the same, as far as like I put the same decorations in the same spaces. So I haven't really changed a whole lot other than the configuration. I haven't really added a whole lot of decorations. Like I've got a couple extra rares that have dropped. But if, for example, last time I collected hourglasses, I collected 19 hourglasses and a majority of them were rare. Had a couple epics drop. I've had legendaries drop already since I did this reconfiguration. And if you see, it's like a lot more compact than my last configuration. There's a lot more offshoots, right? We have a medium epic space to my right here. And this one has quite a few. It has 2 mythic decorations, 2 legendary decorations, and it's dropping significantly. It's also got this mystery box and this rug. And that's the same configuration I had before. And then we have just some like really simple ones in my small rare spaces, just basic decorations, and a little bit more here. We got like an epic one here with just a couple epics and a rare, right? So the distribution of the decorations is the same, but it feels like, and this is where the theory crafting sort of happens, the proximity is affecting the drop rate. The proximity of my spaces and the proximity of my decorations to each other seems to be affecting the drop rate. And this is where I'm starting to think like maybe each decoration has like an area of effect, like a circumference or a bubble that could potentially overlap between multiple other spaces, right? So it seems like the proximity of my spaces and the decorations to each other is increasing my rarity and increasing the frequency, like maximizing the percent chance that each space is going to drop a cracked hourglass. So I don't know, like this is kind of like my tinfoil hat theory, but in my opinion, I think that if you are able to build your metaverse spaces as compact as possible without obviously blocking exits, and use your decorations in a way where they're potentially overlapping with decorations in another space, that you might be able to increase your hourglass output. Obviously, higher rarity decorations will help, right? This is my mythic medium space with 4 mythics and the legendary and that kind of stuff, like all the good stuff. This is my premium space. But even just like all these other smaller spaces, just keeping things so that they might potentially overlap with each other. Like I affect the circumference of each decoration to be able to kind of touch, like see how this small rare egg, this egg is potentially overlapping with this egg. That's kind of my thought. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is a complete and utter tinfoil hat theory that has absolutely no basis on reality. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's potential that having a more compact space could increase your drop rates? That's about it for What's New Wednesday, guys. If you guys are watching this in the future, make sure that you follow, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and as always, don't forget to tell somebody about it, and I will see you guys next week. See you later. Bye.